work well.
All right.
Oh, well.
All
right. Andy, you got your background. Olee, you got your background.
Getting it set up right now.
Guys, we're live, so you better go off.
Oh,
Jesus.
where the hell is it? What folder is it in on the Google Drive? Oh, never mind. Fuck.
Hey, Andy, man, we're live, buddy.
What's going on? All right. And we're back. Back to
Yeah.
basics.
Hey.
What's up, everybody?
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Another Tuesday night.
Another Tuesday night. We made it.
What's going on?
Hey.
Tuesday.
Welcome, everyone, to another Keep Off the Grass live cast. Tuesday nights are where it's at. I'm really excited for tonight's episode. We're getting back to the basics. I think this will be an awesome discussion. Thinking about tonight, this past week, really got me thinking about just a couple years ago when I began my DIY lawn journey. So I got, all the feels came back, and I'm super stoked to get started and just have a fun discussion with all you guys. But hey, before we do any of that, how about we raise a glass and keep off the grass?
Yes.
Right on. So, hey, for everybody in the chat, those of you watching, if you're liking what we're doing, give us a like, subscribe. That helps us reach all sorts of other DIY lawn enthusiasts out there on the old interweb. So anything like that, help us out. Much appreciated. We were going to have the Lawn Whisperer on this week, but him being the hero he is, he got called away, couldn't make it. So we're moving on tonight. We are going to do a drawing a little bit later for a special guest next week, kind of like we did with Major Look Lawn Care last week, which was really awesome to have him on. So if you want to be a guest, you know, in the chat, anybody that's in the chat, go ahead and type in KOTG if you want to be in for the drawing for that later on tonight. And then we're also having a little swag giveaway that we're going to do a little bit later on as well. So we'll get more into that later. Yeah, let's get it started, man. We got a lot of really good topics, suggestions, and questions over the past week about this back to the basics. So I think we're gonna have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. If you guys have something you guys want us to go over in the chat, let us know and we'll get to it. But you know, one of the things I was thinking about that's a fun thing to talk about was what's everybody's preference for the height of your cut? You know, what are we all mowing at, depending on where we're at and you know, what kind of grass you have. What do y'all think about height of cut as our first little topic discussion?
No, that's great. I think that's great. I think the height of cut is, like you said, it's going to be varying from cool season and warm season and vice versa. But I myself as a Bermuda guy, I mean, I know last season, man, I think I kept my Bermuda around 2-3 inches. This year is going to be completely different. So I'm crossing my fingers. So we'll see. What about you guys?
I vary from depending on the season, right? So I have perennial ryegrass. I like to mow it as tall as I can without it matting over or folding over on itself. So probably around like 3.5 inches before it starts to flop over on itself. But in the summertime, I like to keep it as tall as I can, especially just to kind of, you know, drive the roots as deep as I can in the summertime. And then, you know, in the cooler months like spring and fall, I can mow it a little bit lower, maybe down to like 3 inches or something like that.
Yeah, it's turf type tall fescue, not turf type short fescue. So I'm 3.5, 4 inches in the summertime. First cut of the year, I usually go a little shorter. Last cut of the year, usually go a little shorter. Not down to those couple 2-3 inches like the Bermuda guys do, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as Vince. You know, in the spring, I'll kind of cut it a little bit shorter. Typically, I liked it 3.5 or so, but last year after some feedback, some people were encouraging me to go a little bit lower. So changed the old Time Master to the double Ds. So put D on each setting and took her down a little bit. So I ended the year at like 2.5 and I really, really liked it. It looked a little clean. So I think I'm going to do spring and fall at 2.5 and then summer, obviously when it's dry to promote health a little bit, kick it up to 3.5. And I'll probably stay there for the summer.
Yeah, I'm the same way. You know, I tend to go a little bit shorter in the spring, I think, than I do in the summertime, you know, just to try to retain a little bit of plant health. You know, in the summertime, I'll cut it a little bit taller. Now I have turf type tall fescue and I tend to mow it like 2.5 inches in the springtime. And I really don't go that much higher. I would say in the summertime, pretty much around like 3 inches. I know some people cut their turf type tall fescue like real long. You know, I've always kept mine, I guess, really on the shorter side for the grass variety.
Yeah, and you have mature trees around your house, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so you get a little shade from there, so you don't have to
Shades a bit,
cut as long to get the shade from the grass on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the other things that I do is I actually do change the height of cut between the front and the backyard. 'Cause my backyard gets shade, I would say probably in the summertime. I'd imagine it's probably under shade like 60% of the day, 70% of the day even.
Oh, wow.
Really it's just that middle of the day, you know, that 1-2 hours, you know, right around noon. I'd say from, you know, maybe like 11 to 1 o'clock. It's, you know, it's just full sun, and the rest of the day there's like some modicum of shade in the backyard, but the front yard, my house faces towards the west. So, I mean, the afternoon sun just cranks on my front yard. And so I do tend to keep the front a little bit longer. So I say, you know, I generally am mowing it like 3 inches, but probably closer, maybe closer to 3.5. But I definitely raise the mower deck. You know, I'll do the backyard first, and then I'll raise the mower deck and go do the front yard. And I try to keep it a little bit longer because it is full sun.
Yeah, with my tall fescue in the springtime, when it's not quite so hot and we're still getting decent rainfall, I like to cut it a little shorter. I think it looks real good. And, you know, my thought process is maybe that'll, you know, spur growth, especially your first few mows of the season. If you kind of keep it a little shorter, that really encourages growth. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I have in my mind when I'm doing that. And then as we get into the real summer heat, if I cut it that short, it'll struggle with all the heat and losing all that moisture. So definitely keeping it taller in the heat of the summer, I think works better for me. And then I'll drop it back down. You know, I've overseeded every season in the fall, so I'll start progressively dropping my deck to get it, you know, real short right before I overseed. That way, all my baby grass can get some of that sun as they're popping up, and they'll get crowded out. Yeah. How about the Sanog guys? They're
oh man, if you guys should know, Sanog likes to be tall, man. Especially around the when it's super hot, you can't really cut it short because you literally will stress it out a lot. If I could keep my Sanog at 4+ inches the whole year, I would. Now, the only time where I go lower during growing season is when I get hit by fungus. That's the only time I go probably 3 low. That's the lowest I'll go, right? But Sanog loves to be tall, no matter what. As you guys saw, that I went ahead and scalped the Sanog. That's just before growing season, so I can go ahead and get new growth down there, correct? That's the only time I will do it, once a year. And of course, when I get hit by fungus. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, scalp for Sanog is what, like a 2-inch cut, not down.
I did it the safe. I guess did it the safe way, but you can actually go all the way to 1 inch.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
David, does St. Augustine? I'm still confused. Does that qualify as turf grass?
Yes. It's
Burn.
I'm hating on Sanog.
Zing.
well, hey,
Hey.
speaking of fungus, you know, when you're cutting it short, I'm guessing you're trying to get that fungus up and off. I would imagine you're bagging it when you're doing that.
I bag.
Okay, so you bag all the time.
Yes.
So okay,
Yeah.
so next topic, you know, to bag or not to bag. Where does everybody stand on bagging versus mulching or side discharge?
You gotta
I
bag it up, bag it up, babe.
Huge bag.
Mark, why don't you go ahead and take this one, Mark?
Mom had.
Yes, heated
But
debate.
are we back to the bagging discussion?
Yeah.
We have to go there.
Yeah.
We got it.
I just so I mean, for me, like between people's yards I work on and my own yard, I mean, they're very small lots. For most people, it's about anywhere from 4,000 to about 8,500 square feet of actual yard. So I prefer bagging just because where I'm at, particularly things like POA and sedge are in my opinion, the two biggest problems. And so it's going to definitely present a little bit of a issue for me this year because I'm going to be doing some real mowing. So the idea of putting everything in a grass catcher is not exactly ideal. But yeah, I like to wrap it up when I'm when I'm mowing. It's just my personal preference. If I had anything more than like 10,000 square feet, I would never even consider it. Just we were joking with Olee, like you'd have to have your own personal composting facility to bag 130,000 square feet. But my take is, man, if you got like less than 10,000 square feet, use it as a workout and just in bag. That's just my personal preference. I know some people like to mulch and get the nitrogen stuff back in there. That's just I look at it more as I don't want to recycle some of the stuff that's back in there and kind of replant issues that I'm already having.
So when you're talking about those properties that you're mowing, are we talking you're mowing once a week, every other week? Like, is there just too much time in between each cut for it to?
You're talking like once a week, and again, everybody's lawn care plan is really different. So for me, if I start seeing issues with like POA and sedge, I'm going to immediately start addressing those things. But for 99% of people, the joke I have like with my next door neighbor, I'm actually going to be doing a spring renovation for him. He was really excited about because his backyard had all this new growth on it. And I went up to his balcony. I was like, do you notice how can you see the difference, in the morning, the difference of the color? And it's because he had all this sedge growth. But he, but his mind, it was going to be, he was really excited because everything was coming back. Anyways, for me, it's just a preventative thing. I totally understand why people mulch or don't bag at all. But again, I feel like David and I, it's kind of just a personal preference.
Hey guys, I want to bring some people in the chat here real quick. So they're talking about bagging too now. Bermuda Brian says no bag unless you're coming home from vacay. Then we've got Dave Blecky's asking what your OM content is to bag or not. And the lawn analyst says he's always bagging his clippings.
Always.
Who else? Jason Vaughn. He kind of wanted to know. He thought it broke down and added back to the soil. Lawn Radiance says he mulches. Puts it back in there. Oh, my dear Lon, I kind of wanted to ask him because he's actually up here in Utah with me. I've talked to him a little bit. He switches back and forth depending on how often he cuts. So last season, being up here in Utah, I didn't bag. I did bag every single time because I've heard at this elevation, the clippings don't break down as quickly and go back into the soil. So if anybody wants to talk about that, I've heard that. I haven't done much research on it, but does anybody know about elevation and breaking down and stuff?
I've never heard of that.
No.
Well, Steve, do you want to take this being in Iowa on the elevation?
Yeah, I think we're not elevated.
I've never heard Connor Ward say anything like that, so it must not be true.
He always bags though. I thought he did say it.
He does.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I almost never bag if I don't have to. Just two reasons. One, I'm super lazy. I don't want to do it. When I was a kid, my dad made me bag and I hated it. So I try not to bag if I can. I always mulch, and then somebody somewhere, somehow I read that, the clippings will break down and it's like free fertilizer, free moisture, just putting it back into your soil. So I'm like, boom, why am I going to do that if I don't have to? Granted, if the grass is too wet, or if I waited too long and it's going to start clumping and stuff, I'll definitely bag it just because I don't want to leave piles and things in my yard. But man, as a kid, my dad was worried about us bringing clippings on our shoes into the house. So we always had to bag it. Well, guests are coming over. You got to bag that grass.
That's fine.
And I'm like, man,
your dad and my dad get along pretty well.
So for the guy there, it clearly seems like about 80% of the chat, maybe more, doesn't bag. And so I get the impression from our own chats, it's basically just me and David primarily. So I got two questions. Number one, for those of you that don't bag, do you come back with a leaf blower and blow that stuff back into your neighbor's yard? And number two is, if you have, especially as cool season folks, if you got an outbreak of something, if you have Dallas grass, crabgrass, POA, sedge, you're just mulching that right back into your soil? What's your strategy?
Oh, can't wait to hear this one.
Well, I mulched last year. I think I'm going to bag this year just to see if it kind of, and I didn't have like a thatch buildup, but I had like a dead material buildup. And I side discharged a lot too with the Time Master that I have, just to be able to kind of blow through cutting the grass as quick as possible. But I think I'm going to bag this year just to see if it does make a difference. Since I'm going kind of heavy, with the high maintenance lawn plan, I'm not too worried about nutrient loss that I'm taking off the grass by, basically like harvesting the grass, right? Since I'm putting the nitrogen and all the other stuff back in. But when I was mulching and side discharging last year, I cut often enough that, those grassy weeds weren't really going to seed. So I wasn't too worried about, mulching them back in. And then, I did, think about getting the moisture and those nutrients kind of back into the soil by, mulching the grass or side discharging. So that was my thought process when I was mulching last year, but I'm going to bag it up this year.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. I know I'm right in the middle. I know all of last year, I think I bagged for the most part, probably about 85% of the time. Other times where for me, I just do not like a lot of grass in my Bermuda. So if I'm out there, my son's out there, whoever's out there, I don't want that on their shoes, bringing it into my house kind of thing. I just want the lawn to look good. I don't want anything on it. So I try to bag as much as I can. And I don't think there's going to be a significant change in any kind of nutrients in the lawn, but maybe none that you can see right away, obviously, but we'll, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I have 9,000 square feet, and thankfully my town takes yard waste clippings. So all I got to do is throw them in, one of those like big brown grocery bag clipping bags, and the trash takes them on trash day. So not too big of a deal. I don't have to cut my I don't have to start my own compost facility like you said, Mark.
I mean,
Yeah,
I do both. I tend to go. I wouldn't say I have a hard and fast rule, but I switch it up. I'll bag and then, I'll mulch. I mean, say maybe every other time. So I just try to switch it up so that I'm not, leaving too much clippings on the grass that don't have the opportunity to break down, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I'm just like totally out of my mind.
The interesting thing on the bagging versus not bagging is I wonder how many people actually, when they quote unquote are mulching, actually have a mulching blade on their mower that's designated for mulching, because there's a very large difference between just taking your bag off and cutting your yard versus mulching. I think 90% of people, honestly, when they say that like they're mulching, they just literally just took the bag off and they're just, I mean, that's a huge difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point.
You're 100% on that.
So I have a Toro recycler. It's not their super recycler. It's not the Time Master. It's just the recycler. And when I first got hooked up with the lawn father, Andy, he asked if I used gator blades, and I'd never heard of gator blades. And he got a gator blade. He said it really made a big difference. So I picked up one, and they're no more expensive than what you can get at Home Depot or whatever. And just by doing it a couple times, it seems like it works a lot better. It seems like it mulches better. I have the same mow frequency, but I tend to get less tracks in the yard where it kind of goes onto the sides of the deck and everything. It seems to do a lot better. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a difference between just mowing and you're not really mulching, but you think you are, versus actually, mulching appropriately. I think that makes a big difference too. And how quick things break down. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think most Toro
model that you have Lawn Father and Pharm Dad here. They call them the $1 million or the 1 million view model. My Lord,
I want to answer.
You guys got. People love that.
I want to answer for Turf Track DIY in the comments here. They're asking for my opinion and also backyard all day. So I do I mulch and I also bag. I have reasons for both. I mean, I believe that, if I'm mulching, I'm putting nutrients back into soil. I have a proper mulching blade and a mulch plug for my mower. And when I do mulch, I make sure that I'm only cutting, I'm following that 1/3 rule, right? I want to, really, really small clippings. And I'm also monitoring the thatch buildup in the soil, because thatch could harvest bugs and disease and and fungus, and so want to monitor that thatch throughout the year and make sure I'm not building up a thick thatch layer. And then I'll bag occasionally to just to, if there's fungus pressure, if it's wet, I'll bag, but for the most part, I'll mulch.
Yeah, I want to jump in real quick too and kind of dispel a little bit of a myth that mulching your grass contributes to thatch buildup. And all the academic articles that I've read, that's not the case, where the grass clippings decompose, especially if you're following like the 1/3 rule and cutting frequently enough. The grass clippings decompose faster than they can kind of build up, and it's more of like overfeeding your lawn and things like that can have the grass crowns actually grow and get thatchy. I mean, you might get like a dead material kind of buildup problem like I had last year, but it's a little bit different than actual thatch from the grass.
Yep, that's where I get a lot of. I have a lot of like neighbors and friends. Some customers are like, "Hey, is this thatch?" I'm like, "No, there's a huge difference between thatch and debris, right? So debris does not decompose at all. And if you guys have seen debris from a St. Augment, it's literally 2 to 3 inches thick, long. So that will not decompose. So we recommend like dry molasses and stuff like that. That will help decompose all that, I guess, built thatch, but that's not thatch, it's debris. So that's for the St. Aug guys that are here. I hope there's some, right? So
let's talk about that real quick. I mean, we're talking about back to basics, right? And kind of what I think we were hoping to accomplish with this show is to say, like, somebody's new to lawn care, somebody's kind of just dipping their toes, into the kiddie pool. Like, somebody talk about the difference. What is the difference between your thatch layer and your dead material that we're talking about?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Does
my
Bermuda grass
understanding-
get thatch?
Ooh.
I'm asking for Cody. I don't know if he knows. Does your Bermuda grass get thatch?
No, somebody asked me that question in one of my messages, and honestly, the last couple of years that I've actually been, taking care of my lawn, when I scalped for the fall and winter or whatever, there was not a lot of thatch at all, and that was over 2 years that I've been actually paying attention. But other than that, I don't see a lot of thatch out there, or maybe some just dead grass or whatever. So for me, what everyone was saying, like Sean was saying about the thatch, how it's different. I didn't know that. I just learned something new myself. I thought it was all your dead clippings, and when you mulch or do whatever, and it doesn't break down, or it just stays right there on the soil. But learning something new every day.
Yeah, I mean, thatch is that, it's a spongy layer that actually grows out of the grass plant. So it's kind of like a mix of like shoots from the grass plant, different like stems, things like that. That's actually like the thatch of a grass plant. And then, like you said, Cody, and David said too, you hit the nail on the head that, it's a little bit different than, the dead material that doesn't break down. So, thatch is actually a healthy thing to have in your grass. It helps hold moisture into the soil. But if you have too much thatch, that's when it's a problem, because then it actually prevents your fertilizers and even like water from penetrating down into the soil, because it just gets absorbed in that thatch layer instead of making it down into the dirt. So,
so actually, Bermuda Brian says that Bermuda does thatch, and then Grass Doctor chimed in and said all grasses will thatch, but grasses with rhizomes and stolons
thatch
will produce more because of those. So I know David was saying, you got a lot of stolons and stuff. So how's your thatch layer?
Did we lose him to his seltzer?
David, do you have a lot of thatch with your St. Aug grass?
Oh, bro, yeah, a lot. Especially always another thing that builds up thatch is over fertilizing. So we really have to be very careful when you over fertilize, because it will build tons of thatch, a lot.
Okay.
So
Yeah, exactly.
have to be super, super careful. I know what I'm doing, so that's the reason why I over fertilize, because I like to try out new products. But I know I'm taking that risk, right? Like for example, my customer's lawn, of course I'm not gonna over fertilize. Why? Because that's their lawn. But with my lawn, I like to try a lot of different things, tons of new products that I buy out of my pocket, so I can try it out to see what works and what doesn't work, right? So
while we're talking about fertilizer, do we want to jump into that topic next of,
real quick, just before, I mean, we're talking about thatch, we're talking about mowing, bagging, mulching. I mean, forget all that. If you're a brand new homeowner, just getting into DIY lawn care, I mean, go out and crank your mower up to the highest setting and mow twice a week. 3 times a week if you can. 1 time a week, maybe shoot for that. I mean, just mow it.
Just keep mowing.
Don't even worry about bagging it. Just I mean, like I'm not in the topic for bagging and mulching.
Frequency is key.
I'm just saying, like, if you just mow it, you won't really build up much thatch. And if you're just looking for a nice lawn, just mowing it more. If you so happen to do a soil test, let's say you're high in phosphorus, for example, if you're bagging those clippings, you can actually start to decrease your phosphorus levels. So it's kind of like a, how far you want to go down it matters. But I would just say, as far as, I wouldn't even think about thatch. I wouldn't think about, what nutrients you're recycling. If you're a brand new homeowner, I would just mow it at the highest setting as often as you can.
It's actually that's a great point, because I feel like one of the common mistakes, I mean, I was there not that long ago, really, is that people think like they get on a schedule like, oh, I only have to mow whatever. And I think most people think you only have to mow whatever 8, 9, 10 days. And so you get a lot of people that will just mow, would say it's every 10 days. They'll let their grass grow to like 4.5 inches, and then they'll scalp it down to like 1 3/4. They're like, well, I don't have to mow it again for like 10 more days. So that, I mean, honestly, like, I feel like that's like probably the best advice I've heard, like, for somebody that's like just a new homeowner or whatever, is like, you're better off just keeping up with the mowing consistency over anything else, because man, I can't believe, it's just amazing like how many people do that. And anyways, no, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
No, I think I completely did it the opposite when I first moved in here and started mowing down. It's like, Zach was saying, lift it up, just start mowing and do whatever. I know with Bermuda is different than cool season, but I remember my father and my mother-in-law, they're like, what are you doing? Because I dropped my mower down, and as far as it could go, and at the time I was using their Husqvarna all-wheel drive and an older model, and it was almost like it was scalping it, and they were just watching like, what, you're gonna kill your grass. And I was like, no. I just kept on doing it. I kept on doing it. And like Zach said, even now I didn't know what thatch was, and I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't really even thinking about nutrients at the time. It was just water and mow. That's it.
Well, hey, let's pause real quick. We're about halfway in. I think maybe we can do our little drawing to see who wants to be our guest next week. What do you think, Brian? Do you have names put together into a wheel?
You know what? Let's do one last call, because I see a lot of new names in here than we did from the beginning. So if you want to announce it, let's just do one more quick call.
Yeah. So we're doing for everybody in the chat, if you haven't already, or if you're just joining us or didn't hear in the beginning, we're gonna take a drawing to see who wants to be a guest next week, like we did on last week's show. We had Made You Look Lawn on, and it was really awesome having somebody else come on and kind of learn a little bit about what he's doing and bring one of our viewers into the show. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do, type KOTG into the chat right now. We'll get your name in the wheel, and one of you guys will come hang out with us next week.
Yeah, so we've got, I can tell you guys right now, we've got about There's about 5 names right now. So far, what
Awesome.
I've got is Mark Ribbons, Dave Bilecki, Derek Abel, Elevated Lawnscapes, and Oh My Dear Lawn. So anybody else interested in joining us next week, just type in KOTG. I'll put you down. We'll do a drawing here in a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. I think, if you're camera shy, don't be, man. It was a great time last week. We had a lot of fun, and I think it was awesome having them on. So, throw your name in there if that sounds like something you're interested in doing. Maybe while we give that a minute, do we want to talk about what should we talk about next? I saw some people were asking about the 1/3 rule and what's the 1/3 rule. Does anybody want to briefly touch on that while we see if anybody else wants to put their name in?
Let's have Nate talk about the 1/3 rule. He was talking about it in the chat.
Yeah, do it, Mr. Stripe Live.
I'm not sure if he's.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, he's there. Oh,
Yeah, I'm here. I
he's
just popped
camera.
off. Yeah, so as I said in the chat, I was just kind of looking at, the 1/3 rule. That's kind of something that at the beginning, as a new homeowner and a new grass guy, that's something I picked up on real quick. You watch your neighbors and they're out there just scalping it, and you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I only got to mow once a week." Well, their lawn reflects that,
Yeah.
and you typically see an unhealthy lawn. We're talking about bagging. I mean, if you're only mowing once a week, you're going to have long clippings. Those long clippings are going to sit on it and whatnot. But if you're mowing a lot, you're just going to get that real short grass clippings. They're going to get in there, have that nutrient feedback for the lawn. Basically what it is though, is if you take your total grass blade, let's say it's 3 inches, you should not cut off more than 1/3 of that. So you shouldn't cut off more than 1 inch. That's as simple as it is. The reason you do it mostly is for the health and to reduce stress. If I'm wrong on that, someone correct me, but that's what I've always been told, that, the more you're taking off, the more stress it's going to cause. That's why I kind of always did it. But yeah, if you mow every couple of days, even if you're just cutting off, 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, whatever, they always say, yeah, I know my video's off, guys. So, but the more you mow, more often, I've always seen, people that have really, really nice lawns. They're the people that are out there mowing 3-4 times a week, and yeah, your wife's going to tell you, your neighbors are going to tell you, you just mowed yesterday, or man, that guy's mowing 3 times a week. Yeah, that's what you're going to need to do to have a very healthy and good looking lawn.
Yeah, especially if it's growing real fast too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like we're getting ready for spring flush of growth. It's gonna be growing like crazy. So you got to be out there, at least every 3 days, if not every other day, to cut it frequently enough so that way you're not cutting off more than a third of the grass blade. And that touches on exactly what Zach said. That's one of the biggest keys of having a nice lawn and kind of getting into lawn care and doing it kind of the right way as a new homeowner or a new person to lawn care, is to get out there and cut frequently.
Yeah, those 2 things. I mean, those 2 are the quickest way to increase, the appeal of your yard.
Yeah, good mow and good watering. Those are like the 2 biggest keys to having a nice looking lawn.
Hey, speaking of mowing and watering, I don't know if you guys have the same. Maybe I've got some kind of problem with it, but every time I mow, I feel like I have to water. I see that freshly cut grass, and it's like, man, it seems thirsty. I need to throw the water down. Does anybody else have to water or feel like they need to right after they mow their grass? Is that just me?
I feel like
those high elevations, yeah.
Well, I guess again, I'm coming from Phoenix, where your grass looks like it's starving for water all the time, so you kind of feel like you got to put that water back down into it. So maybe that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I'll say
some people are. Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
If some people are like worried about oh, you guys are talking about mowing so often, every couple days. I mean, you can probably get away with really once a week. I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're like bare bones, just trying to get a nice looking lawn and not do much, and you're not feeding it, if you're not feeding it, you can probably get away with once a week and still not break that 1/3 rule. And then it as well as result in a decent looking lawn, just mowing it. But if you're not feeding it, I would definitely recommend recycling the clippings. But I'm just talking like basic, hey, I want to I want a decent looking lawn. Mow it at least once a week for sure.
Good job. Good call, Zach.
So how we looking, Brian? Should we do the drawing now for the guest spot?
Yeah, we actually had a couple more people that were interested. So
awesome.
Let me go ahead and I'll share my screen. We'll do the drawing for our guests next week. Oh, Zach, you got to enable it. I don't have a power to share.
So I have a confession. While Brian's working on that,
You're all good.
I always mow once a week. I can never get away. Well, rarely can I get away with more than once a week. So that's where mowing tall comes in handy too. If you can't get it more frequent than that. Anyway, that's all. That's my confession.
All right. So we had 7 names, 7 people interested in joining us next week. So again, Mark Ribbons, Dave Bilecki, Derek Abel, Elevated Lawnscapes, Oh My Dear Lawn, Rooted Lawn Company, and Turf Track DIY. So how many times should we shuffle?
Give a good 3.
3.
Three's the charm.
1, 2, 3. Go full screen. All right, here we go. This is for next week.
Good luck, guys.
Oh, I'm excited. So nervous.
I feel like on a sick day when you're watching Price is Right and the big wheel spinner.
Hey.
All right.
Rooted Lawn Co.
Rooted Lawn Co.
Awesome.
Right
Lon's
on.
been on a
Awesome.
streak, man. He's been putting
Congratulations.
out some awesome content too. So I'm happy to have him on.
Yeah. So we'll have to reach out to you and get some information from you. Talk to you about how to get on.
Congratulations to Vince on the twins. So he just had baby girl twins. So he'll be joining us next. He'll be joining us next week. But congrats on that, buddy.
Who?
Rooted Lawn Care.
Rooted Lawn Care.
Congratulations.
Man, is your wife
Vince is his
okay
real
with is your wife okay with getting away from the twins to join us for her?
Oh,
That'll be after their bedtime. It's all right.
So, hey, speaking of mowing, somebody had said a little bit earlier in the chat, talked about sharpening your mower blades.
Yes.
And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. You know,
That is a must.
Yeah.
That is the major, one of the most important things you need to do to your mower. To have a nice lawn is to sharpen those blades, man. You don't want dull blades, brother.
Yeah.
You're asking for disease, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just looks so much better when they're sharp.
It does. A nice clean cut. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to keep them sharp at least, every 12-ish hours, maybe 20 hours of runtime, and then you should be sharpening them again. Especially, or if you see that your lawn's kind of getting ragged tips as you're kind of mowing.
I have a question for Clint, since he real mows.
Oh yeah.
So how often do you get it sharpened?
I haven't.
That's one thing I really don't know, honestly.
You just backlap it.
Yeah, I would end up backlapping, but to be honest with you, I had a manual reel mower in the beginning of last season. I haven't been reel mowing like super long. It's only been one full season. So when I got my Allet, I lasted all through the season. And then when I talked to Allet, they asked me a couple questions about my mower and like how it was cutting, what it looked like, and I was sending them pictures. And they said I didn't have to, but I don't know. I only got to use my mower I would have to say I started using it maybe in July or something like that. Or maybe a little bit in June. I don't know. Cause I was using the manual reel mower a lot, trying to get my yard ready and like I was like slowly bringing it down before I brought that thing out. So, I mean, like the color on it is still good. And when it slices paper, it's great. But I mean, I'm willing to imagine that I'm going to have to backlap it probably in the middle of the season. That's my guess, but I mean, it slices paper fine. Like it's just like the day I got it, I haven't noticed anything different. All the grass blades, I check it every time I cut and there's everything's nice and level. So, but I will be backlapping it myself. I won't send it away.
Dude, that video you posted was like, I was like starting to question my purchase on not getting an Outlet, quite frankly. That was awesome, man.
So for those of you guys that do sharpen, I've taken mine to a mower shop here in town or whatever and dropped it off. And I don't know, when I got it back, I guess they sharpened it, but it looked like they just took some real big rough saw. It didn't look like, I watch YouTube videos of these guys doing it themselves. I'm like, I'm so jealous. I don't have much for tools in my garage or space, so I don't have like a
file, brother.
Just need a file.
Go to buy a file, bro. It's the easiest thing. Super easy. Takes like 30 seconds.
So what do you guys use to hold it in place when you're filing it? You just hold it in your hand and hope the angle is good enough, or what?
I mean,
your teeth.
Well, I don't know.
Depends on how precise you want to be on it too.
Yeah.
I would use
You
like
can get a
clamp it
an
down
all-American
and
sharpener.
Yeah. So I can.
Kind of a clamp, like a whatever horse table, whatever the hell they're called, and a clamp thing that kind of is there. You go, and then just kind of file away at something.
Buy yourself a 4.5-inch grinder with a
that's what
40 grit wheel on it.
That's 60 grit flap disc.
Yep.
Let the sparks fly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Harbor Freight, dude. You could pick up one of those at Harbor Freight for like $20.
Yeah.
I got a free flashlight with mine.
Wait till they have those like 20% off sales, and you really save a dollar or two. Yeah.
Somebody was asking in the chat just a second ago, how often are you guys replacing your blades?
Replace?
Ever replace?
If you're replacing it every season, you're doing something wrong, brother. You're either going over.
I think he was asking, at what point do you replace? I know personally, I'm replacing my blade this season, and the only reason I'm doing that is because towards the end of the season last year, I don't know where it came from, I don't know what happened, but there was a big old rock. It was probably one of my kids. And man, it put a real nice nick in there. And I was like, nope, that's not going to buff out, dude. I got to get another.
Yeah. If you're a homeowner too, you can have, a second blade or second set of blades if you have something like a Time Master. So that way you can have the one on your mower that you're using, take that other set to the shop to get sharpened, and have it as your backup for when you're ready to switch out. So that way you have, you can rotate through the blades and always have a sharp one on hand and always have a sharp one on your mower.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
That's what I did this year when I went to go replace my blade.
That's smart.
I bought 2 sets of blades.
Yeah. I mean, the blades aren't, they're not terribly expensive, even for a gator blade, like Bill was saying, it's only $25 or $30. And even a new set of Time Master blades is only like $35 or $40, I think.
Right.
So, it's not that big of an expense. And, at a mower shop or some sort of like equipment rental place nearby, it'll be $10 or $15 to get your blade sharpened. Not too bad.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I remember I took it in to get it sharpened. I was like, well, while I'm waiting, let me just go buy a second blade. And I was like, well, what the hell? This seems $20. It's about the same price to go get it sharpened. Why don't I just buy new blades every year? But no, I only have 2. And I'll swap them out, and I'm going to look into figuring out how to sharpen it myself at home.
And that's how I justified. That's how I justified. I picked up a Makita angle grinder this year.
Yeah.
And I told the wife, I said, I'm spending $60 on this angle grinder, but I'm saving money by not going to go get sharpened anymore. So.
All right, I'm going to keep that in my pocket.
There you go. There you go. Marriage counseling and lawn advice in one podcast. Yeah.
Hey Bill, let's gather some other names for those giveaways so that we have about 15 minutes or so that everybody can do that.
Yeah. Hey, so Clint, I think Clint's got the swag and everything that we're doing. Do you want to take a second, let the folks know what we're doing on the giveaway? If you're interested, type Toro in the chat, but we'll let Clint kind of show off what we're doing a KOTG giveaway this week.
Woo-hoo.
Woo.
Hey, somebody earlier in the chat asked,
look at that.
other than mowing, something along the lines, other than mowing.
I wish I was spectating. Get that gear.
One thing we could talk about too after this, or a little bit later if we have time, is how do you make your lawn stripe? Like, what makes your lawn stripe. I don't know if we got into that in one of the previous episodes, but I get asked that a lot. How do you get the stripes?
Constantly.
What do you do?
Yeah.
You cut into different heights? I was like, no, it's not what I'm doing. But that might be something interesting if folks don't know.
All right, here we got some people putting their name Toro, but they don't even know what they're going for the giveaway. So let's have Clint talk about it real quick. Then we got about 15 minutes so we can talk about whatever else we want, but I got to get their names up. So, hey, Clint, show off what the giveaway is for tonight.
Well, we got a Toro winter hat, even though we're coming to the end of the season, but still.
I was just gonna say, just in time for spring. Here's a winter hat.
Yeah. Right. And then a Horizon Toro hat. Don't worry, I haven't worn these either. So.
I like the colors on that.
What about you want me to show the other thing too?
All right,
Brian?
so that's for one giveaway. The giveaway is for the two hats, the beanie and the hat. So then the second giveaway is what?
Is that showing up? The
yeah, that shows good.
Test. The Yard Mastery soil test kit. I mean, why not? If this is getting back to the basics, the first thing you should do, right? Is,
perfect timing.
Episodes is get a soil test. So
absolutely.
I want to join that giveaway. It's a good one.
Yeah. So we'll draw two names. The first one will get to choose, and then the second name will get whatever the first person didn't choose. That sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good.
Right on. Perfect. All
so
right.
Make sure you type in, for those that haven't already, look like almost everybody has, but for anybody that hasn't type in the word Toro so that I can put you in for the giveaway. We'll do another wheel of names here in a second.
Hey, so earlier somebody was talking about, I missed some of it, but what's other than mowing and something else, what else can you do to have a nice lawn? And I was on Saturday on George's podcast, Andy was talking about when he aerated for the first time is when he really saw a big, a nice increase in the quality of his turf.
Yeah,
and I actually kind of agree. Like, if you're going bare bones mowing, you're mowing right. Even if you're doing a real low fertility, and you're just not really trying to get too much, I think, yeah. And I've heard this from other people too that I talk to, just aerating it. You'll notice the difference next season, even in, a few weeks after.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to suggest something too. Sorry, Clint, go ahead.
Just for the aesthetically pleasing for the lawn, something I never did was edge. Like having will make your lawn look fantastic. And then I saw also in another video from the Lawn Tools I was watching that a lawn with no weeds is better than a lawn with weeds. So like the show with the pre-emergent, if people are learning that, and then I think clean edges is just like crispy edges.
Yeah.
Dude, they make a lawn.
There's nothing better.
Yeah. Yeah, so even if you have a salad bar lawn with all kinds of weeds, if you mow it and edge it and trim it, it doesn't look terrible. I mean, it looks better than the alternative, right? So keep up with the maintenance, right?
Like, like the overgrown, it looks like an abandoned lawn. Having crispy edges just look amazing.
Who actually
does Olee even edge or no? Olee, do you edge?
Hey, what?
Do you edge your lawn, bro?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
high and tight.
That's you got some cardio going on right there.
So what now?
That's some heavy cardio.
Yeah, some cardio.
That's a haircut too, buddy. High and tight.
Hey, who actually has an edger? Or do you guys just use a trimmer to do the edging?
I have an edger.
I'll establish it with an edger and then maintain it with the trimmer.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
I have a trimmer that has the detachable, like a little end piece that is like an edger machine that I use. But I just edge around my sidewalks and stuff. I don't have, I'll use the weed whacker around the garden beds and stuff. I'm not very good at it, but I'll do it. I practice there a little bit every time. I'm getting better.
I'll tell you, the guys that can take their trimmer, flip it upside down, and just walk. I tried that and it looked like shit. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Like hats off, props to you guys that can do that. You watch the videos; those guys are just straight as can be. And I'm like, Dude, that's
That's so
impressive.
satisfying. Yeah.
I butchered it, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm never trying that again. So yeah, I went out and got like a
Taco
cheap
turf.
edger and did it.
First time I tried doing that, Nate, I always kept climbing up into the grass so that I'd catch the strings a little bit and it'd jump up there and I'd have a big pie cut out of the side of the yard.
Nope. Yeah, it was
Definitely takes some practice.
I think
I
one of
butchered it. It was horrible.
I think one of the secrets to that I found helpful, because that's what I do, is use a string line that's got some color in it so you can see the string and you can see where it's going, right?
Oh yeah.
I think it's a lot of reasons you see people doing that without a guard on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the first time I tried to add a guard on it and I have to watch the back of it because I can't see the front, right? And I just tore it apart. So I took the cover right off of it and it made a big difference.
Yeah.
Watch your shins though.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like when they
shorts
do
and
it,
sandals, you're bound to see some blood.
Yeah.
I feel like the string's out about 4 or 5 inches too when they're doing it.
Yeah.
But
You could just
yeah,
buy
it's
an
impressive.
That is true.
line really fast. No, I'm just kidding.
Once you got an edge established, it's a whole lot easier.
What other suggestion do we have for DIYers? Other than, of course, mowing.
Oh, we talked about measuring square footage.
Yeah, measure your lawn.
How do you read a bag of fertilizer? How do you read a bag of fertilizer?
Oh,
I think we got episode 2. I think we're going to have episode 2.
More basics.
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand of knowing the size of your lawn and knowing how to read a bag of fertilizer, because you have to get the right amount of bags of product for your lawn size. So, that's right on the label of the bag. So, you have to know, like, my lawn is about 10,000 square feet when I buy product. So, I buy a bag or 2 5,000 square foot bags, or one 10,000 square foot bag. And I know that I have enough product to cover what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knowing your yard size is important.
So how would you guys measure it? Do you guys go out there with a tape measure, or do you look at a satellite or a website, or what have you guys used to measure your lawn?
Keep in mind that, for example, me, right? I'm out. I try to get quotes at least 4 to 5 a week. So it's kind of tough, man, to kind of be looking on the satellite and be measuring. Usually measuring tape is the easiest way to go, man, honestly. Once you're on site, for me as a business owner, that's the way to go for me, right? But of course, if you have enough time in your hands, why not use the app? Because you're able to move the little, I don't know what they call it. I guess
what app do you use?
Yeah, and then it's just, I guess it just takes time. For me, it takes time to go online and move all those little things around.
Yeah, I went around my yard and measured, and I thought that was super fun. I got my kids out there with me. We're just moving the tape around, doing it. Definitely, you got to think in your mind, and add it up and have a little piece of paper, write it down. Then you go back in the house and you do the math. But it kind of helps you kind of move around your yard and get to know your yard a little bit. But I did just Google like yard size calculator, and whatever the first result popped up, I just chose that and moved the cursor around and kind of real quick. And roughly it was about what I measured. So I would imagine that the satellite ones are fairly accurate enough, right? We're not having to get exact, but accurate enough. So I think it's fun to get out in your yard and do it by hand if you want to, or if you can. But I think these satellites are pretty accurate as well.
Yeah, I mean, Google Maps does it. There's mapdevelopers.net or .com, and then there's like measuremylawn.com too. So there's a lot of websites to do it. And if you can, do yourself a favor and try to break off your lawn into like even 1,000 square foot increments. So that way, as you're getting deeper and deeper into the Fert math, you know how much product you're applying on the different areas of your lawn, and they're all kind of even enough to make the math a little bit easier. Like my front lawn, I measured it, so I got about a 4,000 square foot area. My back lawn is also about 4,000 square foot. Then I have 1,000 foot side between me and my neighbor's house. So that way I know, exactly how much product I'm putting on each on each section when I go to weigh it out. And that's that's a little bit more of a deeper, advanced, technique. Just start with your lawn size, get the product to cover your lawn size. And then, as you get deeper into the hobby, or start your own Fert business like David, then, you get deep in that Fert math.
But yeah, so even going a little bit, dumbed down more than that. Go out, you got a smaller lawn, go out in your lawn, take some big strides, walk it off. Every step is 3 feet. Walk it off, apply some organic fertilizer. You don't really got to worry about some burn. You don't got to worry about any risk. I'm not talking about this with like herbicides or anything. You want to be a little more precise.
Yeah.
But if you're just applying some organic fertilizer, walk it off, take some big strides. Every step is 3 feet, and you just do the math.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had touched on, reading fertilizer bags, right? And, the one thing I think that, some people may not realize, and it's all out there. I think probably everybody's made a YouTube video about it. But one of the big things that is worth mentioning is that if you look at a lot of the bags, especially if you're buying something that from one of the larger companies, it's going to have the fertilizer spreader settings on the bag for a lot of the big, spreader manufacturers. I mean, I'm not going to look up and see a fertilizer spreading for my spiker spreader, but I mean, if you're going to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a Scott spreader, it's going to have it right there, exactly what spreader setting you need to be putting on. So it's going to broadcast it, in the appropriate amount. And then you just, say you got, like Sean's saying, so you're going to do a 5,000 square foot bag, and you're just going to crisscross it till it's gone on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even homeowners, when you're starting, get in the bag of Scott's crabgrass preventer with the turf builder and a couple bags of something like Scott's Green Max. You can get that all at Home Depot. You hear like the advanced people kind of poo-pooing on Scott's, but if that's where you need to start, and the settings like Brent said, the settings are right on the bag to help you kind of apply at the right rate. There's no shame in kind of starting there and getting comfortable with it, and then advancing into the more advanced products if you want to, and kind of taking it from there. So start with the stuff that's available at the home center. Even if you want to get into like herbicides, get one of those hose end sprayers, like the Ortho Weed Be Gone hose end sprayers, and go out and spray your lawn and get comfortable doing that. And then that kind of gets you down the rabbit hole of buying something like a dial-in spray and maybe spraying other products, or getting a backpack sprayer and really going to town with the fertilizers and herbicides. But that's a little bit down the road after you get comfortable putting products on your lawn and applying them the right way.
Yeah, and also speaking of big box store fertilizers and stuff, this was the first year that I'd actually had gone to other place, an actual fertilizer store that had the numbers, the big, what's this 1704? What does this all mean? What's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium? What the heck's all this? I'm just used to buying a Scott's weed and feed or spring fertilizer, starter fertilizer, and they don't have any of those numbers up the front.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until this year I actually learned, hey, you flip it over on the bag, go down to the very bottom corner and look at that real fine print. And that's where you're going to see how much nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, all that stuff that you're going to put on. You can actually see those numbers. They just don't advertise it as much.
Yeah.
Because it is just for beginners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And a way to kind of roughly understand what those three numbers are, it's nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen pushes top growth, potassium pushes down growth, and nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium pushes around. So it's top, down, and around. Those are what the three numbers kind of, a rough idea of what they do for your grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think this was great. We're right at about 60 minutes. What do we say we do this drawing and maybe wrap it up for the week?
Yeah, let's give some of Clint's stuff away.
All right. So got another wheel of names here. Let me pull it up real quick. All right. So we've got 17 people for this put in their names. So I'm going to let's do 5 shuffles. How's that?
Sounds good.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, some good names in there. Left Tool.
Yeah, Left
Jason
Tool wants to
Vaughn.
get some Toro stuff, I guess, huh?
Nice. I see some good names in there. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. All right, here we go.
Give us
Left
a
Tool,
like if you
have
haven't already.
Left Tool has like every product Toro made, right?
Yeah, we'll see how he does. So this first spin is going to be for the Toro hat and the Toro beanie, and then we'll take out whoever's name gets that, and we'll go into the Yard Mastery soil test. So here's the first spin. Oh, sorry. Actually, we talked about somebody picking, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do choice.
Okay, so first winner that gets their choice of the Toro swag or the soil test is
No.
Left Tool. Hey, he's also
Nice.
Awesome.
his wife's pregnant too, so this
Yeah,
the, congratulations Left Tool and his wife on the
Yeah.
soon to be another tool in the shed.
And that Tahoma should be popping up pretty soon down in Arkansas down there too.
Right. All right, so we'll remove him off.
Yeah, so leave a
And-
comment if you want the Toro or the soil test kit.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
All right, here's the second winner. All right. Jamie the
Nice.
accountant.
My
That's,
boy Jamie.
that's a good one.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
I want to tell you guys that Jimmy has been on the show since it started.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Jamie's
Awesome.
been around a long
Congratulations.
time.
Huge son of
Yep.
us.
Appreciate
Great
it.
guy.
All right. So whatever Left Tool doesn't pick, you get that.
Get those sloppy seconds.
Hey,
Sorry.
but it's something, right? It's something.
Well, hey, this was a lot of fun, you guys. I thought this topic discussion was really great.
Guys, have a comment.
I think we all have learned a lot. I certainly have. This was really good to kind of get into some of this stuff. This is what really got me into lawn care in the beginning, was learning all these basics, and just you learn just enough, and you come a long way already to standing out in your neighborhood just by some of these basics and ironing out some of these little details that we talked about today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
man.
great.
Hopefully folks found it helpful.
Yeah,
love
hey,
it,
feel
guys.
free to reach out to us on Instagram too. Slide
Yeah.
our DMs. If you got any other questions, we can
Great info.
help you
Wait,
out.
what?
Yeah. And always do the like, subscribe, and click the bell so that way you get notified when we're going live next week too.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of looking this week, about just the performance of the videos and the performance of the podcast audio and everything else. And one of the things that we have noticed is that the videos do perform better, and they are kind of suggested more with the more likes. So, if you're in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, hit that thumbs up button for us. We'd appreciate it. And, whatever if you want to go back and listen to us again, you can do that on YouTube, or check out the podcast audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right.
everybody. Thanks for
See you
tuning
next
in.
week.